Hello everyone. This is going to be another one of those videos where you basically are just watching the sunset behind me, and me being here is just so that you know there's an actual person talking. Today we're going to be talking about scratches on camera equipment, or for many people, lack thereof. Me personally, I have a philosophy about tools, which is that they're meant to be used, and if they can't stand up to normal use, then they're probably pretty poor quality. And this is one thing when you apply it to a wrench, whether it can or can't remove a bolt. However, it becomes a bit more controversial when you're talking about something like a camera, or I guess in today's day and age, sometimes a phone. Because these types of items are extremely expensive, and it's generally accepted that electronics are delicate. However, a piece of electronics is only as weak as the casing that it's in. Yes, if you were to take the motherboard out of your camera and drop it on concrete, it would probably break. But I feel like for most modern systems, if you were to take the lens off and put a body cap on and drop it from, I don't know, we'll say 3 feet onto concrete, it probably wouldn't break. Which is good job, engineers. However, I do agree that it's completely unreasonable to expect your camera to survive a drop onto concrete, and you should never purposely do that or put yourself in a situation where that could happen. However, these are tools. And at the root of the word tool, we find that it's for performing a task. Now, sometimes this can be art, because after all, the definition of art is only something that's meant to be appreciated as beautiful, and some would argue that many cameras fall into that category. However, it is nonetheless a tool, and its primary job is to complete a task. And if the appreciation of the tool as a piece of art is getting in the way of you performing the function that the tool was designed to perform, then that is the threshold where I feel that it is acceptable to be harder on your gear. Me personally, my camera has scratches all over it. And because of this, it doesn't look like much, especially given that it's a lower end camera. And when you see a well-used lower end camera, it kind of just says, oh, that guy takes pictures as a hobby. And yes, you'd be absolutely correct in that. However, normally that occurs over a period of many, many years. In my case, I've had my camera for a year and a half, and it looks decently beat up. And the lens is, a little bit dusty. There's a little bit of stuff on the front element. I honestly don't see this as an issue, though, because when I go out with my camera, my primary goal is to create. And while I'm not willing to risk my investment to the point where it is deleted and I no longer have that money I invested into it in any functional aspect, I am willing to use it. Now, some people would, again, argue that you shouldn't harm a camera. And I agree, people for the humane treatment of cameras or whatever. But if taking the photo is your primary objective, or capturing the video in the case of videographers, then we must accept that to do this, sometimes the camera will be in a tough situation. And manufacturers know this. After all, many modern cameras are designed to withstand things that, frankly, some of us ourselves probably couldn't withstand. Like, can you imagine being dropped from 2 meters onto concrete with, no warning? You just, fall? That would be ridiculous. But in either case, you should use it how it's meant to be used, for capturing photos. As I go farther and farther in my photography journey, I begin to care less and less about gear. And this takes shape in multiple forms. Not only do I not really care what I'm shooting on, because Well, let's just say I've noticed a correlation between mediocrity and gatekeeping in art. And I feel that there is no advantage to me doing this. But in addition to that, because I prioritize the art above everything else, I'm not perturbed by a scratch. And if it's something that I feel might affect the function, then of course it's understandable to feel really bad about that. Like, for example, back when I was shooting on my kit lens, I accidentally scratched the front element mildly. And I didn't realize at the time that it had almost no perceivable effect on the image quality, but at the time I was quite disturbed by this, and I felt like I had done a horrible job of taking care of my equipment. However, in pursuit of this, I found that I don't care anymore. You know, I'm wearing a pair of shoes on me right now that have been through a lot, and they've got some paint on them from one time I painted a lady's deck. My DJI microphones, you know, when I first got them, same thing, brand new, don't want to hurt it. As soon as I got that first scratch, I didn't care anymore. I stopped caring about cosmetic defects because ultimately, you buy a product for the function it provides. And there might be a significant amount of hype around that product for its beauty or its function. And because of that, when you get it, you tend to oogle it. But I actually think that a camera becomes more beautiful, or any device for that matter that assists in creativity, when it gets scratches on it. Because each and every one of those scratches is a memory of a time that you went out and you created. And I feel like that's a really valuable thing. All too often, it seems that people prioritize what gear they have, or what state their gear's in, or what the weather's like outside, in terms of whether they go and create. And this makes sense to some extent, because we can't create all the time. We will burn out eventually. And I think I speak for most of us to say I'd rather burn out on sunsets than burn out on frost. So on that note, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope you have a great day.
Hey, voiceover Lyndon here. Why don't you stay and watch the sunset with me for a while?
My generation is one spewing in the wind. The things I've done, the places I've seen, they don't displace reality. My generation is one spewing in the wind. Things I've done, the places I've seen, they don't displace reality. My generation is one spewing in the wind. The things I've done, the places I've seen, they don't displace reality.